asked a bunch of people what they had for their favorite Christmas cookie, and I couldn't believe how many people said fruitcake cookies. Because, of course, you know, everybody goes, fruitcake? Oh, dear Lord. Well, this one is going to do everything that you thought a fruitcake cookie could not do, all right? Because we're going to do some things that are a little bit different, make it taste good. All right, so I've got a third of a cup of brown sugar in here. And I want you to watch what I do at first, because you'll realize that this is just a basic butter cookie. Not very sweet, not overly sweet. And I've already lost my flour. So a third of a cup of butter and a third of a cup of brown sugar. Now, watch that cream for a second. Let me get my flour. Did I have my, No, I didn't. I put it right over here in the bowl. Sorry. We've been on a 2-day cooking spree, and I'm starting to kind of lose it. All right, so this is just going to cream together, just like you would do for any other cookie. Can you get down in there, see? See how it's starting to come together? And as it works itself together, the mixture will pick itself up off the side of the bowl. Oh yeah, see, here we go. Look, see, look. Look at this one. See that? How it's all come together? Now, scrape this down. What we're doing in this case is taking some pretty good fruits and some nuts, and we're making just enough cookie batter to kind of hold them all together. So instead of having that kind of boozy thing, or the fruitcake that has all those hideous candy thing, the green and the red, no, we don't want to do that. Now, if you can find really good maraschino cherries or candied cherries, and there are some specialty stores out there that have good ones, or if you make your own, because you know you can make your own, then by all means, feel free to use those. I didn't have them. So I made sure that we had a lot of quality in a couple of other areas. I'll show you what those are in just a second. All right, so now we've got 1 cup of flour, and I'm going to turn this off, add my flour, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, about a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, pinch of salt. Okay, so we've got a very basic cookie dough, right? Slightly different proportions, but that's almost exactly what I did a few minutes ago when I made the sugar cookies. It's actually the same process. So we're going to let this come together. Now, if this is too stiff, I have a little bit of whole milk here, and I will add just a little bit, like a teaspoon or 2 at a time, until it reaches the consistency I'm looking for. So it does need some. This is the only, this is the big tricky part. This is as hard as it gets. There we go. See how even that little bit of milk, a little bit more. We'll scrape it down, and then we're going to add our fruit. It doesn't look like a whole lot of batter, does it? You really want only enough cookie batter to glue everything together. Pretty good. Okay. All right, so the number one problem, I think, that goes wrong with fruitcake cookies, rather, is the fruit that gets put in there. If you have cheap or low quality or bad tasting fruit, the cookies or the fruitcake, either one, are going to be ruined. However, if you have wonderful stuff like black walnuts and pecans, dried cherries, not candied cherries, but dried cherries, raisins, these are dates that you can buy, they've already been chopped, candied lemon, and candied orange peel, okay? Lot of great flavors going on there, and you've got a nice balance. Yummy. You have a nice balance between the citrusy punch and the sweeter stuff, a little bit of tart from the cherries. And this is all I do at this point. Start dropping it in. And I'm going to load this with as much of the fruits and the nuts as I can get this batter to hold. And it'll hold a surprising amount. So there's a bunch of the cookies. You know what we can do to these cookies. You know, traditionally fruitcake is soaked in alcohol. I don't have any whiskey. Wait a minute. Oh, whiskey. You don't want to give it too much. Maybe a teaspoon or two. There you go. Now oops. I didn't spill it. There we go. Now that was a lot of nuts, and I've probably put in almost 2 cups. Good solid 2 cups of fruit. And that little bitty bit of batter. Oh yeah, it's going to take all of it. Perfect. Okay, here we go. Now, I have the oven set to 300 degrees. And this cookie needs a lower temperature. And it cooks for a longer time. It gets half an hour. You know, most cookies are going to be out of, almost every cookie I've ever known is out of the oven within 18 minutes, I think is, you know. And I cover my pans with foil and then butter them up.
Well, except for my cookies.
What, honey?
Except for my cookies,
Bladen has a cookie that he makes that's about 20 minutes. All right, so we're going to butter this. And of course, if you've seen any of my videos where I'm making cookies, I constantly talk about how you have to have everything at the same size when it goes into the oven. Because if you don't, your cookies won't cook evenly. And because these are going to go in for a much longer time than most, at a lower temperature, you really want to make sure they're the same size. Okay. So our cookie sheet. Let's see what I'm at. This ain't your granny's fruitcake. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, them cookies look really good.
I told you I could make a fruitcake cookie taste good.
Yeah.
Now I'll tell you, the cookie dough is not real sweet. And a lot of that, I think, is wonderful because if you've got good fruit, and they've already been dried, you know, most of the fruit has already been dried. There's World War III going on behind me. The 2 little ones are at it. Your fruit has been, you know, most of the fruit is dried or candied already. So it's got a nice, strong, and sweet flavor. And if you go putting in a whole lot of sugar, you're going to cover up all that wonderful fruit and nuts. Now, I will say, be very selective when you buy your fruit because these are not inexpensive cookies. These are very much a treat, especially with the price of pecans right now. And dried fruit can always be a little pricey. Oh, you're so good. Okay, in the oven, 300 degrees for 30 minutes, and I might take a nap. I mean, that's how hard these are. So there's nothing to it. Alrighty. I gave these about 30 minutes. I probably should have pulled them out at 25, but you know, it's not that big a deal. Let me show you something. All that fruit and all those nuts inside these cookies, there's just a little bit of that sweet cookie around it. Oh, good Lord, that's good. Like I said, this ain't your granny's fruitcake.
I don't think they're all that good.
Do what?
They don't look all that good.
Yeah, that's fruitcake cookies that I actually like. I mean, they're really, really
They
good.
are good. I mean, if you use good quality fruit, that's the key. If you use good quality fruit, good quality nuts, little bit of real butter and brown sugar to hold it all together, it's gonna be great. Unless you're an 11-year-old, so not so much. I'll tell you, I can certainly understand why people say this is their favorite cookie.
What's that?
One of my favorites now too.
Tastes good.